Can the Auburn Tigers get the offense in gear versus the Kentucky Wildcats?
Midweek report coming at you guys on a Wednesday, brought to you by our friends at the Rage Room. If you're in the Opelika area, 1510 Second Ave, Opelika, Alabama, or if you're in Birmingham, 2616 7th Ave South, the Rage Room. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of rage to get out after Saturday as Auburn takes on Kentucky. We're going to get into that later, but the Rage Room, great for team building, guys, and breaking stuff. And, you know, it's a good time, I promise. When you get to the counter, let them know that the War Rapport sent you. Do us a favor, join as a patron. Ike has been on the road to every single away game for you guys. Next week will be no different. He'll be in Nashville, and you can help keep him on the road by signing up for a patron membership. These are like micro sponsorships of our channel. I know we ask you guys to do a lot of things, but this $5.99 a month, because so many of you have made the decision to do it, helps keep us going. We got big plans here at the War Rapport. We need your help to continue. You can also give the gift of the War Rapport by hitting that gifted membership button. See if we can give 30 given away here today. Just go ahead and smash gifted membership. YouTube chooses these at random, so check your email. If you don't have a green name in the chat, you could be on the receiving end of one of these. I keep getting messages from you guys on social media saying, Mike, I got a gifted membership for the War Rapport. Enjoy that. We got lots of great content planned for you guys. Check out the warrapport.com where we have our merch store and all our written content. If you want to put on some real fly Auburn-ish gear, we've got great stuff here. The Born to Boog collection is hot right now. You can find all that again at thewarrapport.com, as well as our written work, myself, Ike Jones, and senior writer Logan Fowler, giving you guys all the content you can handle there. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop potentially has something that has you covered. If you've got some traditional ailments and you're looking for some non-traditional remedies, our guy Richard could have something for you. Longtime sponsor of the show. Head on over to rogueshop.com and use code REPORT to get 15% off your remedy today. Check us out on podcasts, guys. Lots of great audio-only content. We are climbing the podcast charts. We want to continue to climb the podcast charts, but we need your help. So go on over to your favorite podcast platform. Find the Auburn Express Tempo College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Rapport Gaming channel. Hit subscribe, hit follow, and turn on automatic downloads. And while you're at it, even leave us a review. Those help us a bunch as well. But again, we're doing great things on the audio side. I thank everybody for patroning us over there as well, too.
Well, let's get into the conversation, Mike G. Auburn versus Kentucky. All of the rage right now, speaking of rage rooms, is about whether or not Hugh Freeze is going to move on from Jackson Arnold, the previous starter for every game so far this season, over to Ashton Daniels. You've had a couple of conversations with a few people and gotten thoughts out about this week. Coach Hugh Freeze was on the SEC Weekly teleconference, still non-committal today, saying both of them played well in practice. We'll see. I don't know. You buying it?
Bullshit. No, I'm buying it. You practice? Really?
Yeah.
We ain't talking about no practice here in week 8. Right? He already knows what he's doing. And you can pretend. I think maybe his comments are more geared at just trying to keep Jackson Arnold engaged in case he needs him for the rest of the season.
That would be my guess, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I feel as if he doesn't want to like kill, because listen, man, he's been handling him with kid gloves, right? Like, let's be clear. He's been trying to massage Jackson Arnold's confidence.
That's a good way of putting it.
He's like, you're good, man. No, you can go out there and be an SEC quarterback. I believe in you, dude.
Yeah. Here's what I would say. I was told by somebody who saw it directly and up close that he was openly moping after being benched.
I was at the game. That's not that's
openly moping in the locker room after the game where the players meet, like just kind of down and out. And so I know Hugh Freeze has said that he's handled it professionally. Jackson Arnold is not disliked. And so I think when sometimes when we start having these conversations, everybody thinks that we're saying, oh, they hate Jack. No, nobody hates Jackson Arnold.
No,
but I do think that his teammates offensively are ready to move on from him, though. And because it hasn't resulted.
Let's be clear. They want to move in whatever direction wins football.
Right. Yeah, they want to win. They
honestly, at this point, I don't think that they care how the wins come. Can we just please win? Now, they love for the offense to move, and I don't think that you can separate those two at this point with what you've got left on your schedule. If you're going to get a game you're not supposed to get, your offense has got to get in gear.
I do think I trust me, these receivers do care how the wins come. Like they want to play offense. They want to play good offense.
I don't think you can separate the two, though. I'm saying, like, I don't think you can play crappy offense and beat Vanderbilt or Alabama. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they want to play good offense. It's not going to be good enough for Auburn to continue to do what they did versus Arkansas, and everybody's going to be happy. I'm telling you right now, that's not going to fly. That's not the tone in that locker room right now. They want to play ball, man. They want this offense to reach its actual potential. And there's a ton of talent there. And like I said, Jackson, he had his shot. He had his shot to try to get him there. And whether you think that's on Jackson or Hugh Freeze, what we do know is the current formula has not worked.
Right.
So at this point, something's got to change. If it's not going to be the way they call it, we've been asking week after week about potential personnel changes. When are we going to get it? It took a really bad pick six versus one of the worst defenses in all of the FBS before Hugh Freeze finally said, enough. We need to try something different here. And for what it's worth, when you go back and look at the drive chart, Ashton Daniels moved the ball up and down the field. It may have not looked great in the red zone because obviously they didn't score a touchdown after that first drive, but he moved the ball well enough that, for a guy who didn't get a spring with this team and has been essentially taking second team reps or worse all season.
Right.
So, what I was really disappointed with in the whole, we're going to have a competition this week in practice was what I heard was, okay, so Ashton Daniels is going to get less reps than he should be getting if he were just preparing as the starter. So maybe they handled it differently in practice this week, or maybe they only did that for one day. But I just don't know what you're expecting to see from Jackson Arnold in practice that's going to make you feel better or worse at this point. We haven't been hearing that he's been having bad practices. So it hasn't resulted in better than average play consistently. It's so good, I think, in spurts and at points, but just not consistently enough for them to have more than one win in conference play so far. So it's just, Hugh can say that, but he will out. If you run Jackson Arnold out there first on Saturday, he might get booed out of Auburn. He might get booed all the way back to the Opelika city limits because there's not going to be a whole lot of stomach, I think, for this coach continuing to do the same things over and over again while telling fans and alumni and everybody that we're close. No, you've got to do something different. That difference is Ashton Daniels at this point. I thought, look, he looked like a very experienced guy last week versus, all right, people forget how much football this guy played before he came to Auburn as a starter at Stanford. So this is we talked about this this morning and we'll talk about it again on the Auburn Express in the morning, but this whole dipsy-do thing that they have to do with the red shirts and, Ashton has 3 more games he can play and keep his red shirt. And Deuce has 3 more games he can play and keep his red shirt. And then Hugh Freeze said last week or before Arkansas, redshirting Ashton was off the table. Respectfully, it can't be. It can't be. Redshirting Ashton cannot be off the table. There is a route to playing him, winning the next 4, and not burning his red shirt.
I think what he's saying when he says that, though, is like, if we're, God forbid, in a pickle and you need Ashton Daniels to play, he's going to play him. Like week by week, we're going to reassess that. And we just need to win football games at this point.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, the only way that I think burning his red shirt is an absolute is if you really think that you don't have a quarterback situation outside of him
that
where you can beat Mercer.
Right. Which is a sad thought. But
yeah. I feel so when he was asked that question on the spot, he may not have thought through that. But I think that, after the fact, they probably went back and said, yeah, like, we can get creative here, keep everybody happy, and preserve both Deuce and Ashton's red shirts, but not put the team in a bad position. Because right now, you really don't have to worry about that until after Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think the only place where you might, again, like the portion of this where I understand what he's saying is, what if you have to play Deuce Knight for some reason before the Mercer game? And, like what happens in the Mercer game when you start Deuce Knight and you pull him out, you putting Jackson Arnold in there to run the garbage time, or you letting Deuce Knight play the entirety of that game? He's your future. He's thinking through all the particulars of that stuff of like, do I run Jackson Arnold back out there again to be against Mercer? Like, I don't know. Like, how is he going to feel about that? Like, it's a difficult place to be. And I get what he's saying, but to your point, if versus Mercer, the scenario which makes the most sense, Ashton Daniels is your starter this week, next week. If versus Mercer, you can't win that game without Ashton Daniels playing, then we got some issues behind him that need to be addressed into the future.
Yeah, look, Deuce is not going to burn his red shirt. Like, I mean, I don't care what Hugh Freeze wants or says. Deuce's camp is not going to let him burn his red shirt in this season.
I thought that was the plan the entire time. So
it was, and then again, decisions made in desperation rarely work out well. And so, now because you're desperate and you're looking for answers late in the season, we still have to be smart here about what's best for everybody. And, playoffs are off the table. Winning an SEC title is off the table. Like, hopefully a bowl game is still within sight. But the only thing that you have left, to me, in my book, on the table is getting to that 8-game mark, which would be a solid improvement over last season where you won 5 games. So 3 wins of improvement year over year should be the goal. Now you got to win out to hit that goal at this point, but you can do all the things here. You can preserve red shirts and win the next 4 games without doing anything crazy. It may look a little unconventional. It may be unconventional to bring a guy in off the bench to play 1 game to preserve another guy's red shirt, and but if you get through this next week, then Deuce can't burn his red shirt even if he played the last 3.
Right.
So that only leaves Ashton, and you've got to sit him out 1 week between now and the end of the season to accomplish that. Mercer makes the most sense because that should be the one where you're not worried about winning or losing. Now, I understand. As I understand, I think Mercer is 7-1 right now, and doing well at their level. But at the end of the day, these are conversations I think a lot of us felt like we didn't think we would actually be having in week 8. We haven't played a game in November yet, and here we are, and these are some really stupid conversations to have about red shirts and quarterbacks and the coaching for his job, man. I mean, we can both agree here. A loss against Kentucky, I would be shocked if there weren't, and if we go to the press conference on Monday and Hugh Freeze is the coach.
I find it hard to believe if you lose to Kentucky that he doesn't lose his job. Yeah,
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. Kentucky hasn't been good. They've been better of late offensively, at least, but they're still not a very good defensive team overall. So you've got to figure out ways to. And your defense has been good all season. There's no reason why you lay an egg versus this Kentucky team. Let's talk a little bit about this game specifically.
Yeah.
Look at the head-to-head here. Matchup preview. Kentucky, who is 2-5 on the season, both of their wins. They have not won a P4 game so far this year, guys. No games have been won versus a team that has a pulse. Auburn 4-4. They have beat a couple of teams on life support, but no teams that have been quality. Saturday's game is in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Yeah.
The line has Auburn winning this game by 10.5, and 44.5 is the over. Under 77.1% chance, says the ESPN FPI, that Auburn walks away with the victory. Last game, of course, was the Jarquez Hunter game last year. Auburn won that game 24-10 there in Lexington. Mike, when we look at this game, you've already said it. Auburn should win, right? Like, I don't want to belabor the point and sit here and, no, Auburn should win this football game, bro. Like, stop. Yes, win the dang game.
Yeah, Auburn should win. I wish I could say that with more conviction, but
I mean, you can say that they should win with conviction. What they will do doesn't have the conviction behind it. I put that 3 and 4 on this graphic. But what they will do is probably a separate thing. But like, they should win, though.
Yeah, they should win. And defensively, you've got to feel confident about their ability to be able to not let teams suddenly be good at things that they're bad at. Now, if you're really, really good at something, you may be good at it versus Auburn. You may be okay at it. But the thing that counts to me that they're not letting teams be good at is scoring.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, when you look at the points per game average, like Auburn is scoring defense is playing at a championship level. 18.6 points per game. I don't know if they factor in the 7 points that they technically gave up because of the pick six, but really you gave up 17 points in that game.
Right.
That's it. That's all you gave up. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, the only teams better are Alabama, 18.3, Missouri, 16.8, Texas, 14.6, and Oklahoma, 12.5. I mean, you are in an absolute championship mode. Vanderbilt has only allowed 18.8. I mean, it's a really good scoring defenses in the league. I mean, half the league is 20 points or less, right? Florida is giving up 20 points per game, but Georgia only 19.6 on in. Like I said, that's that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 16 teams are giving up 20 points or less this season. So
I mean, listen, this is a defensive league that is getting back to kind of the roots of who they are, which is we're going to go and we're going to beat you up week in and week out.
But more importantly, right? Again, only 84 yards per game on the ground given up. Only team better in conference right now is Texas. Both teams having an underwhelming season, which tells you that they're talented, but some other things are going wrong. And then your passing defense hasn't been great, but Auburn has faced off against some of the best quarterbacks in all of college football this season. Right? You went against Sawyer Robertson, who currently leads the country in yards right now. You had to go against John Mateer. You had to go against Gunnar Stockton. You had to go against Marcel Reed. You went against some of the best big play quarterbacks in the game right now. So I'm not really that worried about that pass defense being in the bottom 4 of the league, because you're still in the top 6 in the conference in total yards given up. Right. Only 318 yards per game given up, man. That's salty, and that's an improvement on last year. That's better than last year.
His defenses just are good against the run, man. Like, he knows how to shut. Like, his front sevens traditionally have been good everywhere he's been. He knows how to scheme it up, and being his second year, they've gotten better with it. The place where Auburn's going to have to figure out this game, how to be better. And listen, what gives me a lot of hope about this is watching them dismantle that Arkansas offense, right? Like, I get the big plays that happened in that game, but one of them, I let's just call that the wet field. That's the only reason I feel like that first score happened.
Yeah,
Now,
for
the
sure.
other shot that they took down the field where they hit K and Lee on the post, great throw, great catch. You tip your hat on that one, but few and far between was Arkansas just marching the ball up and down the field. And then when they got to that fourth quarter, the defense basically was like, all right, we've had enough of this, and let's just go ahead and shut this game down. But Kentucky has a guy that's over there now at quarterback in Cutter Boley. Make sure I'm saying the name correct there. 6'5", 220, true freshman over there. Has started the last few games for them, and he's been doing well. Listen, they played against Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee in these last couple of games. He threw for 220, 258, and 346 respectively in those games. And again, I'll read the defenses off for you again. Georgia, Texas, Tennessee. Those aren't slouchy defenses that he was out there doing that.
They're all top 6 in pass
Exactly.
defense in the league, right? Yeah. So
yeah. It's not as if they don't have the ability to go out there and stop teams. So this is another game where your defense is going to have to come up big, but your offense has to support you with points this time.
Yeah, the game is at home, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't see anybody. While they're doing better, Auburn has played better offenses, and still nobody has gotten more than 24 points on them. I don't think this is the week that suddenly they're going to muster more than 24 points in my book. I just think, you're Auburn. You just got to do what you've been doing defensively. And then if you're the offense, you just can't, you can't hit that one touchdown floor, man. Score twice in this game and kick a few field goals, and that should be enough to beat Kentucky.
Yeah. Now, while I said all of those great things about how many yards they got, Georgia, they only scored 14 points. Texas, They only scored 13 points. Now, they scored 34 versus Tennessee, but they gave up 56. So,
yeah, I don't think this is the week where suddenly they break out on the scoreboard. Now, they may move the ball between the 20s, but yeah, and I'm not even confident that they'll be able to do that, honestly. DJ Durkin has his guys tuned in right now, man. I go back and forth. That 2019 defense was really, really good, but this defense to me is a little better than that one.
I think this defense from top to bottom is easily more talented, and this is blasphemy in Auburn circles. I'll take DJ Durkin as a defensive coordinator over the defensive coordinator from that year as well.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%, 100%.
And this is somebody I didn't used to be high on DJ Durkin until I saw him at Texas A&M, and I was like, oh wait a minute, he actually scheming this thing up. And then he came to Auburn. I was like, oh no, he is really good at this.
Yeah. Look, man, if it's its sole focus, you're in trouble. That's the best I can say it. So, kind of it's going back to the quarterback conversation. You've got to run the football in this one. You have to run the football on this one. Now, because at the end of the day, you're going up against the second worst run defense in the league in Kentucky. If Ashley Daniels is your starter, he shouldn't really have to win this with his arm.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Cobb should actually, by the number, he should run wild on this Kentucky defense. They're giving up 161 yards per game. Only defense in the SEC. I'm sorry, wrong year. They're actually giving up only 131 yards per game.
They're a decent run defense.
Yeah. Sorry,
and they're terrible versus the pass, by the way.
Yeah, they're terrible versus the pass. So I had it backwards.
To your point, though, I do think that though this Kentucky defensive front has been good versus the run, I believe that the difference, because I don't know what, if you're looking at statistics, what did they give up versus Georgia on the ground?
Kentucky?
Yes.
Versus Georgia, they gave up rushing yards They gave up 180 rushing yards to Georgia.
That is more of what I would expect Auburn to be able to do. And it's because it is on the road, right? Because of the games we just talked about, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia's the only road game of those. And Georgia is the only one with a true dual threat quarterback of those two in Gunnar Stockton. So I believe that you're more akin to seeing that sort of thing that's going to play in your favor if you're Auburn. I think Auburn can break and do some things on the ground versus this Kentucky defense, especially if Ashton Daniels can do one or two of those that he hit to Eric Singleton, that deep post route, one or two of those, and it changes the entire complexion of what they have to do defensively. Kentucky is not going to sit back in too high. They're going to be in a one high safety look. So you're going to have opportunities down the field to be able to attack this defense. Your quarterback's got to be able to take advantage of that stuff, though.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting, I think, a little bit of a litmus test for Auburn. Georgia, converted 9 of 12 third downs versus Kentucky. Can they stay in third and at least manageable in this game? Can Auburn? All right, and if you run the ball and you don't get into these silly, crazy first down calls where you're throwing it and the run game is working and you're getting behind the chains, or maybe with Ashton Daniels at quarterback, again, he's letting go of that ball, and if he's accurate in the short passing game, either way, you're not behind the chains on second down, because the way Jeremiah Cobb's running the ball right now, the way the run game's working, I personally feel like if he's going to be an automatic 6 or 7 yards every time you hand the ball off, Auburn's going to be really, really hard to stop, for Kentucky to stop in this game. So, you got to win the week if you're Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
You got to win the week. And what that means is you got to be 1-0 this week. You get to 5-4, and we can continue this conversation against a top 10 Vanderbilt the week after, which is another game where I'm telling you, I'm picking Auburn in that game. I like Auburn's chances versus Vanderbilt. That's no disrespect to Vanderbilt; they're really good.
Vanderbilt's a very good team. Yeah.
If we're making actual changes, look, Diego Pavia did not go nuts on Auburn last year. I think he was 9 of 22 passing. He had a very mediocre game. He just made the big plays when Vanderbilt needed it. He came through when they needed it. And if
that was the difference in the game, is that he hit the couple of shots that he had, and Auburn missed the few that they had.
Yeah, it was like two or three throws, man, was the difference in that game. And so this year, if you've got a guy who can do at least some level of that, I like Auburn. And I think it's very likely Hugh Freeze wins the next two and is headed in, after this, and is headed into the Iron Bowl, 7-4, with a chance to be 8-4, and keep his job and secure his job. Now, you and I, we've had this conversation. Remember, preseason, I talked about this with SEC Mike at Media Days. What happens if Auburn goes 7-5? And what I tried to tell people was there's not a lot of scenarios where Auburn goes 7-5, and we're not sitting here with some sort of controversy, either a controversial loss or something's going wrong at 7-5. That I don't think firing should be off the table at 7-5, but 8-4, I'm going on record. 8-4, I do think firing should be off the table, because you can't get to 8-4 without 2 top 10 wins on the way in.
Yeah, at this point in time, well, I mean, hell, if they had won a couple of those games that they should have won earlier in the season, the same scenario, like you would have had top 25 victories on the road.
And if they don't steal Oklahoma from you, then I'm okay with the idea that Auburn should have been a 9-3 team this year, in which case we absolutely would have had firing off the table. Is this maybe the blessing in disguise for Hugh Freeze forcing his hand to make a change? When he picks a guy, he's the gift and the curse, man. He's very loyal to the guy that he picks, but maybe blinded by that loyalty when it's time to make a change. Now, I'm going to show you, and I talked about this before the show. I'm going to share this. and I'm gonna be clear. I don't know if this was meant for me.
Okay, hold on. Wait. I want to get to that on the other side of the
Okay,
break
all
because I
right,
think
yeah,
that's going to pivot into a very different conversation
all
that
right,
we
yeah,
definitely need to have.
all right, fair
But you
enough.
guys are watching the midweek report. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to take a quick break and talk to, turn it to our sponsors. But before we do that, make sure that you are liking the video, share the video with somebody out there on social media, or text the link to somebody. I don't care. Share it with somebody. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You are watching the midweek report. We'll be right back after this quick word from our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikaRageRoom.com or BirminghamRageRoom.com.
Sign up as a member, $5.99 a month will get you there. We appreciate all our patrons for helping support the work that we're doing. Ike is on the road here. He'll be on the road next week to Vanderbilt for you guys. You can help keep him on the road by signing up as a patron. Hit that join button. We appreciate all our Green Name gang. Guys, this episode of the War Report is brought to you by our friends at Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates. Many firms won't even talk to you unless you have a certain amount of money to invest. Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates takes a different approach. There's no minimum account sizes because they believe disciplined investment management should be accessible to anyone ready to take their portfolio seriously. Their independent fee-only model ensures your money is managed with your best interests in mind, nothing else. So whether you're just starting to invest or already managing significant assets, they'll meet you where you are. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com today. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iannone Moore Associates for this endorsement. AIMA is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. This episode of the War Report is also brought to you by our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Ever run out of vape juice at 10 p.m. and think, oh, I'm probably screwed? Well, Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered all over the Columbus, Phoenix City area. And even no matter whether you're headed down Victory Drive or headed up to a bypass, they've got a spot ready for you. Sky Tobacco and Vape is probably just 10 feet away from wherever you're at. They've got vapes, tobacco, and deals so good you'll probably swear they misprinted the price tags. Sky Tobacco and Vape, good vibes, great deals, and zero judgment if you walk in wearing your pajama pants. Guys, I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault has you covered. You can find them on Highway 431, right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. As always, I want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. The road to knowing self starts at Sets for Society. They have custom personality assessments that let you know a little bit more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you guys can best think together to achieve like goals. Visit setsforsociety.ai today to get your custom personality assessment started. Fill out the form. They'll reach out and do the rest. Get to know yourself with Sets for Society.
All right, let's get in here and talk a little bit more about this game. Hold on, let me get us right here. Go to the comment section first and foremost, and then we're gonna get into Mike G's group chat. We'll get into that here in a second. All right, we'll start it off with the super chats. Anthony Long, appreciate it, man, says mentally prepare yourselves to see Jackson Arnold to start and Coach Hugh Freeze to completely abandon the run. I will not do any such thing, Anthony, and you can't make me. Exclusive TV says find an OC and keep Nix as running back coach. This will be his second consecutive year producing a 1,000-yard running back. Cobb is 283 yards away from 1,000. Let's just talk about that for a second because, 1,000-yard rushers, okay, but him being the second leading rusher in the SEC right now, having not getting starter reps or really having gotten the ball for like the first 5 games, it's kind of crazy. Like, let's be clear. He has done an excellent job stepping in to be RB1 when Damari Austin went down with injury, and then continuing to run tough through SEC play, despite not having the opportunities he probably should have gotten. He likely finishes this season with 1,000 yards still.
Yeah. Look, man, as you mentioned, the second leading rusher in the SEC to date. He's averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Now, there are amazingly 6 running backs in the league right now averaging better than 6 yards per carry, which is, I'm sorry, there are 5 running backs and 1 quarterback. Taylor Green is averaging 6.7 yards per carry, and he's got 90 rush attempts. So he's carrying the ball like a running back. But you've got Jamal Roberts at Missouri, 66 attempts, 6.5 yards per carry. Mike Washington at Arkansas, 108 attempts, 6.6 yards per carry. Deshaun Bishop, 7.2 yards per carry. Actually kind of insane, 91 attempts. So these aren't, I can't stress enough, these aren't like, oh, well, he carried the ball 20 times. And, no, these a significant amount of carries here. And for Jeremiah Cobb to be in the top 5 is significant. He actually, 117 carries on the season is 3rd in the SEC right now. So, and still he hasn't gotten the ball enough.
Right.
He still hasn't gotten the ball enough. Ole Miss has given Kewan Lacey the ball 165 times already. My boy is averaging an astoundingly awful 4.2 yards per carry, but they keep giving him the ball.
But that's what happens when you're committed to running the ball, though. Like your averages are going to come down a little bit because you're fine with getting 2-3 yards here and there, and then eventually you're going to break one, right? And so, and the commitment for this coaching staff has to be with what Coach Freeze calls the dirty yards. You have to be fine with every now and then Jeremiah Cobb's only going to get 2 yards on this carry. He's only going to get 3 on this carry, but it's better than being behind the chains on second down because you had some goofy pass play that didn't work.
Yeah.
NH, just saying, if Daniels is flat Saturday, then what? This is what happened last year with Thorne and Brown. Lost to Arkansas. Not saying we lose, though.
I think that the situations are a little bit different. I understand the comparison.
Yes.
The situations are a little bit different here because Ashton Daniels has real playing experience coming into this. So I think more of what we saw versus Arkansas is the real Ashton Daniels.
Right.
Like,
and let's add to that, Hank Brown does not have the mobility that Ashton Daniels does. So if it breaks down, he can get out of there and he can make something else happen with his legs. And I was high on Hank Brown. I was like, oh man, this dude can really sling it. He could just
he has a great arm.
But what happened versus Arkansas happened. I think Ashton Daniels, having been in situations like this, can bounce back a little bit better than what Hank Brown was going to be capable of. And again, if all else fails, they can just start calling quarterback runs and let him utilize his legs. They didn't have that option with Hank Brown last year.
Yeah, Ashton is a much better quarterback than Hank. And he's, like you said, he's more dynamic athlete than Hank. And I like Hank Brown. I don't know. I still feel like they pulled the plug on Hank too early, all things being said. I thought he should
have gotten the second half of that game.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was a bad half, sure, but when you went back and looked at the film, some of those 3 interceptions, 2 of them weren't as bad as they seemed at the time. Tip passes and really good plays by the DB. I don't know. We need to have some grace for Ashton, given the situation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he goes out there and he makes a mistake again, he's a guy who has done this before, though. And I think that's the biggest difference for me is he's made mistakes in P4 contests and has shown the ability to bounce back. Now, he had complete faith of his coach to be like, you're the guy. There's nobody sitting behind you that's ready to step in and do this. But I think that Coach Hugh Freeze needs to just listen, man, you let this offense just kind of flap out there in the wind doing nothing for weeks with Jackson Arnold. Let Ashton Daniels work his way through it, man.
Yeah, let me get out there and do some stuff, right? Like, at kind of highlighting Ashton before we get to these other comments here. Again, you're talking about a guy who was the starting quarterback at Stanford. He had some of his better P4 performances in a win versus Colorado in 2023. 396 yards passing. He threw the ball 45 times in that game. In a loss versus Washington, 367 yards passing. In a win at Hawaii, 248 yards passing. And listen to some of these attempt totals, like 36 attempts versus Hawaii, 26 attempts versus Arizona, 45 attempts versus Colorado, 45 attempts versus UCLA, 48 attempts versus Washington, 31 versus Washington State, 35 versus Cal. They let him sling it.
Yeah.
They let him sling it. And then in the subsequent year, which, it felt like he took a little bit of a step back. He didn't have the 300-yard game in 2024. Closest he got was 22 of 33 against Louisville for 298 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Protect the football, man. My boy throws interceptions, but he also, man, is slinging it a lot. Like, the attempts total says that, hey, yes, you're going to see some interceptions because you can't throw the ball that much and not have some interceptions.
Yeah.
With a better team, a better wide receiver core around him, and some guys who can go up and get the ball because, I went back and
he really only had one good receiver there at Stanford.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, I think you see those interception totals come down quite a bit. So again, he brings in real experience to the job on what wasn't a very good team before he got to Auburn. This is a much better team in terms of talent around him. So let's see. And he doesn't have to carry it with his arm. And I think that's the thing is he can be patient. He doesn't have to force the issue. Part of when you're on a bad team and you're playing from behind, you're forcing the issue, constantly trying to catch your team up.
Right.
He didn't have to do that at Auburn, man. He can trust Jeremiah Cobb, hand the ball off, let him go get 7 yards. Then he can go get 5 first down. And then he can take a shot to Eric Singleton down the middle like we saw him do last week. And I don't know. This is one of those guys I think who has a chance to be the quarterback nobody saw coming.
Yeah, he's got a chance to go out there and make some stuff happen. Hopefully they're putting him in some good positions here this week, and he's taking advantage of that. Anthony Long, Mike G, thank you for asking tough questions at the press conferences. The fans, thank you for attempting to get some real accountability out of Coach Hugh Freeze.
I appreciate that. Believe it or not, Anthony, there are those who think my questions aren't very good. And
there are those that think that. And there are those that think that Coach Hugh Freeze doesn't like you, and we will rebut that here in just a minute.
Yeah. And to those people who think my questions aren't very good, it's probably because your questions aren't very good. So screw you, and thank you, Anthony. I appreciate this because we really do try to ask questions that you guys want the answers.
Listen, the whole point of this channel is to try to be it's a fan channel, man. So we're trying to ask questions that fans want to hear. We want to give perspectives that fans want. If you were there in the room, what would you want to ask Coach Freeze? All right, well, let me try to ask him that question because I am there in the room.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the other media members criticizing me, they have vastly underestimated their own intelligence in a lot of ways. So they think that I have the best question. So I'm going to ask Mike. My question is the best question. No, the best question is the ones that the fans want answers to.
But yeah, that's the best question. Listen, at the end of the day, there are some wonderful media personalities here with Auburn. Some guys that we have great relationships with. I'm not here crapping on everybody out there, but I just don't I hate how we become topics of conversation with people in the media based upon things that have nothing to do with anything other than you don't like.
You don't like it. Yeah, that's it.
It turns into this whole other thing, and it's like that's unnecessary.
Yeah, look, part of what gets me, and this is just a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, is sometimes, Anthony, I have a question, but I don't get the first question. So if you are before me and you ask my question, but you ask it in such a manner that we don't get a real answer, it's hard. And then I'm left with the dilemma of, do I re-ask the question and try to rephrase it to try to get a different answer? Or, there's an art to it, to asking questions in these press conferences. And, again, unless you get the first question, it's really hard, because sometimes some people can ask your question, but not ask it in an effective way. And then you're left with, do I just move on from that? Or do I stick to my guns here? Because I know my listeners want to hear the answer to this question. But when you asked it, you either framed it for him to give him an out, or you just didn't ask the question very well, and he sidestepped you. So, sometimes re-asking the same question is a good strategy, because he may show some frustration, but you may get an answer out of him the second go around. Like, look, let me say it this way, because maybe I wasn't clear the first time. I've been a part of a lot of these, and I've seen a lot of these that I'm glad that you guys enjoy our questions at the press conferences. I really do. Look, Vanderbilt's going to come. I don't know if you guys heard. I saw somebody else posted. I think it's AL.com posted a video of your question to Alex McPherson.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it was a really good question, and he gave a super fascinating answer, and it was, I don't know, man. I think we do a good job. I think it's one of the strengths of this channel, man, is that we ask good questions.
Exclusive TV. I wonder what's the plan to keep players here. The answer: Deuce Knight and a bunch of bread. Let's be clear.
Yeah, Deuce Knight and a whole lot of mana.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
NH jumps in. Should have beat New Mexico State, yet here we are. Listen, should have is still valid, though. Whether you do it or not, what you should do versus what you did do are always going to be different things, right? Well, not always, but sometimes they'll be different things. Sometimes you handle business and you do what you're supposed to. Sometimes you don't. That does not change the fact that Auburn should beat Kentucky. Should.
Yeah, should. Yep.
Exclusive TV jumps back in, says our offensive game plan cannot be passive nor anemic. We have to be aggressive and run the ball. Then once they walk those safeties down, go over the top. It's really as simple as this. And let's be clear again, Kentucky's going to probably walk the safeties down early in this game and try to be stingy against the run to force Auburn to throw the ball. Ashton Daniels just needs to be wise with his decisions, but that does not mean you can't run the ball just because they have 7, 8 guys in the box, and they're going to match up depending upon kind of what the formation and the personnel grouping is for Auburn. What Tennessee did is they spread them out, and they said, great, you want to walk 7, 8 guys down in the box? You're light on the outside. We're just going to throw quick game. Now we're going to make your cornerbacks go tackle in space. They didn't win that situation too often, right? And so Auburn just needs to do, and if, hear me when I say this, if Auburn goes quick game versus Kentucky and these Auburn receivers have an opportunity to get out there in space, especially guys like Malcolm, that's going to be a problem. It really is.
Yeah.
NH jumps back in, says, let's say Hugh returns for a 4th year, but has to hire an OC and give up play calling. We all know he's calling Gus Malzahn first. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's his friend. Does Gus want to come back to Auburn as an OC?
Would the powers that be allow this to happen?
I don't. I don't know that. I don't know.
I don't know if they would allow this to
happen.
happen. Yeah, I don't know if they would allow this to
happen. 9-time champion Mike G, Ike, y'all, and Jacob Goins do good jobs at asking structured, effective questions without playing a giant gotcha game. Kudos.
Yeah, love my guy Jacob. Obviously, he's our Thursday morning Auburn Express episode, so you'll hear from Jacob tomorrow morning on the show. But and I know he really appreciates this one. Jacob is a pro, and I think he asks great questions. And like I said, sometimes you got to ask the boring thing, which is, can you give us an update on this player or that player? And other times you get an opportunity to really, really try to dig deep and see what's going on behind the scenes. And Hugh Freeze has been incredibly candid in answering some of these questions. So yes, I mean, he's been good for a soundbiter too. I just think that when you care about what you do, you ask good questions, and hopefully we get the answers you guys are looking for.
All right. Exclusive TV. Say it with me, War Rapport. It's time for a change. Listen, it is time for a change, and that can mean a lot of things. What Coach Freeze is trying to change is the mood in the locker room, his messaging. Mike G, talk to the people.
This morning I woke up to a text message, and it was from Coach Hugh Freeze. So iPhone is doing this new thing in the latest iOS update where it like summarizes the message in your preview. And so my eyes are barely groggy. And I'm just like, oh, okay, what's going on? Let me see what Hugh Freeze is texting me. And so I've gotten a few text messages from him in recent weeks, as well as a couple phone calls. And I don't think this was meant for me. I don't think it was meant for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Well, I want to share because I don't think it's not a bad message at all. I think he accidentally included me on like his. Maybe he did. Maybe he meant to send this to me, but it's dealing with Auburn's theme of the week versus Kentucky. So the message says this week's theme is game of inches in quotations. In 2 Samuel 23:9, we're reminded of Eleazar, who stood shoulder to shoulder with David when others turned away. That's what this game and this life is about. Football, like faith, is a game of inches. Every play, every rep, every moment counts. God strategically setting each of us up for something greater if we just stay in the fight. Some things won't make sense, but we're called to finish anyway. There are no accidents in his plan, only divine appointments. As we take the field against Kentucky, we must be fully present, relentless, and unshakable. When fatigue hits, stand a little longer. When the moment feels too big, push a little farther. Champions aren't defined by talent alone. They're defined by the inches they refuse to give up. Let's stand together, fight together, and finish the game the Auburn way, 1 inch at a time. Head coach Hugh Freeze, Auburn football.
Listen, that is the right message, right? Like, because if he is pushing the we're close thing, then it is like, hey, man, it's this one play right here that you didn't make. It's this one block that you weren't able to sustain a little longer. It's this half of foot that you overthrew this pass. Like, it's these small things that accumulate over time that are the reasons why we're in this situation. We have to figure out how to be better in those small moments in order to get the outcomes that we want. I have no issue with that message. That's great.
Yeah, look, gotta get your guys motivated. Now, I will tell you, I'm not particularly a big fan of the idea of divine providence as it pertains to sports.
That's the one part I was just like,
because the guys on the other side are Christians too. And I'm not sure God is invested in outcome of wins and losses one over the other. But I do think that the message about persevering through not so great times is important.
Right.
I do think that's a very, very important message for your team. Like, things don't always go according to script. But when they don't, what do we do? How do we react? So much of life is not about what happens to you, but how you respond to it. You know, things happen that they're out of your control all the time. I mean, this is, I don't know if this is relevant, but, 3 years ago, I got diagnosed with a severe case of systemic lupus. It almost took me out. I laid in an ICU bed for 30 days fighting for my life. And I had a choice to make after that. Do I let this thing get me down? I have that choice every single morning. Do I fight through today, or is lupus win today, or am I going to win today? Sometimes the lupus wins, but if it wins, you won yesterday, I'm damn sure going to try not to let it win today. And I think that's what his message to his team is about is that sometimes things happen to you and you just you can control how you respond.
Right.
You have control over how hard you work and your attitude all day, every day. So that's what this has to be if you're Auburn, right? Like, You've got to make sure that your team maintains control of their attitude and how they respond to what is seemingly adversity. So I do like that message. And again, I don't know if he meant for me to share that, but too late, coach. I shared it.
Hey, listen, but again, so this for me, and this is why I think this conversation is fine for us to have out loud in front of our audience, is it defeats, I believe, a couple of narratives, right? The biggest narrative being that Coach Freeze is no longer invested. He's just out here coaching to get his buyout. I think Coach Freeze is still fully invested in the success of this football team and the success of these players, right? Number one. And the other thing that I think that it defeats is this idea that he feels as if there's nothing wrong, right? Like he's just going along, like he actually knows, listen, we have to be better about certain things. And I realize that I need you guys to realize that. Let's come together and figure out what we're going to do to fix this. So I think those two narratives get dispelled when you hear him finding let me find new ways and new messages to say maybe some of the things I've said already, but I got to say it. Maybe I need to say it differently so that you're hearing it differently.
Yeah.
So I don't think Coach Hugh Freeze's investment is gone from this football team.
Yeah. JJ Brand thinks that he absolutely meant to send that to me. And he's flooding the media with some feel good stuff to gain support. Like, look, I look, I mean, I'm probably the wrong person for that because that's not going to move me one way or the other. Like, I just think it's a good insight to what the internal messaging is. Certainly, it doesn't change my mind about how this offense has gone and
right
how things have played out on the field at all. But
yeah, the message is great. Wonderful. Let's see some results on the other end of it. Because at the end of the day, that's like, we can talk about your messaging, but if the results don't change, then it proves that messaging was ineffective and what you did beyond the message doesn't resonate with the guys. Right. Yeah. And so I think that's the more important thing that we have to talk about as members of the like an aside. Okay. I have seen multiple people recently talk about how bad we are as journalists. We're not journalists. That's not our role. Every media member is not a journalism person, right? We are opinion guys in the media. We have media credentials, but we give opinion. Now, those opinions are informed by very real information that we get from not just players, but staff members that are affiliated with this program. But by no means are we out here trying to have some level of journalistic integrity. Yes, we have biases and we are fans and all. Stop trying to make us into people we're not. Yeah. Don't put that. Don't tell me what I am. I've been told you what I was. I'm an Auburn fan with a media credential, and I'm going to get on here and speak as if this is the team that I support. But I ain't going to lie to you about the good or bad stuff that I see. Just because you don't like the message I give doesn't change the message that I'm here to deliver to you.
Yeah. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, if what JJ is, if what he wanted for me was to share that, then okay, mission accomplished. That changes absolutely nothing about what he's got to do on Saturday.
100%. Great message. Can we get it done?
Yeah, right. Like, if God wants anything for you, I hope he wants a win versus Kentucky because he ain't gonna save you from that unemployment line. Yeah, he's not gonna save you from that unemployment line if y'all lose on Saturday. So, right. If you believe in divine providence, you better hope that applies to Kentucky this Saturday. If we want to be spiritual about it, there's a measure of this that's within his control.
A lot of it.
Right. Yeah. The Bible tells us faith without works is dead. So if you're not preparing like a champion and cooking up something that will produce the result that you hope your faith delivers.
Correct.
What are you doing? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, he can believe in all that. What I hope is that he's back right now as we speak, putting in the work to help make that message a reality on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, as long as the earth remains, the good book says seed time and harvest. So what you're doing to produce the harvest is what is going to produce results, not how much you can't just look at the field and hope that you harvest crops when it's time to do that. It's harvesting season right now, and we're seeing a lot of bad crops out here. The question is, are you just going to continue to till the ground in the same way, or are you going to change your process to get better results?
Yeah.
Otherwise, all this hope and faith and all, none of that matters, bro. It doesn't.
Yeah. Look, again, I like the internal positivity. I think, if you see through kind of like the biblical message in a sense, there is a fundamentally true message about if you're going to let hard times force you into inaction,
Right.
or change who you are, you're going to lose a lot. You're going to lose that a lot in life. So, think about all the stories that you've heard in business about guys who dropped out of college and then became billionaires, or like, their first idea was laughed at by somebody until they found somebody who believed in it. You've got to be crazy enough to buy your own hype. And you want them to, you want your team to have that stupid kind of confidence in themselves. There was I don't know if you saw this, Ike, but there was I think she's a Bama journalist, but she decided she was going to chime in on Diego Pavia. And I didn't like what she had to say at all. But
I didn't see this at all.
He went to a press conference, chat, if you guys saw this, with a hat that said "two turned."
Mm-hmm.
And like,
that's kind of his thing. His merch thing is two turned because he's number 2, and so
yeah, which I did not know that, but that makes her stance even more ridiculous. But she had something really, really stupid to say. Like, a lot of Auburn folks was going in on her, for her stance on Diego, but like, she called him Johnny Manziel without the talent, and
okay.
It was a shot.
She's still mad that they lost to Vanderbilt last year. Y'all won this year. Calm down, bro.
Okay, so let me read the whole tweet. The tweet said, and I promise you, I'm gonna bring this back to Auburn. Diego Pavia might be the most arrogant QB I've seen since Johnny Manziel, minus the talent. Here's my hot take. If your university has to launch an online Heisman campaign for you, your stats clearly aren't doing the talking. Diego, you threw for 129 yards and an interception today, yet showed up after in the press conference dressed like you just signed your latest NIL deal with GLD. Bro, the only thing two turned was your turnover count. If Ty Simpson ever walked into a press conference looking like this, DeBoer or one of his teammates would have ripped those chains off mid-question, hands down. Humility greater than hype every time.
So, two things that are factually ignorant about this.
No, man.
Most universities launch online campaigns,
which
for
so many people pointed out. Right?
Like,
yeah. She later
that
backtracked on
happens
that.
literally in every sport across the board. The universities launch campaigns to lobby, especially if their guy is not getting what they feel like is enough hype around them. Like, that is an ill-informed take, number one. Number two, to act as if you don't have players on your own team that are arrogant and flashy is like, that is an inability to read the room that you sit in.
Yeah, absolutely. Which Hannah misses because she's probably either never played sports or never competed at anything at a high level is that you have to believe that you're the best.
Yes.
Diego Pavia.
And the guys who are good all do.
Yeah, right. You do not actually believe anybody's ever better than you. You don't, right? And I don't care what the stats say, right? When we
was
swear
she there
off,
when Jalen Milroe was at Bama?
Right. Yeah, I'm telling you, boy. And so, I mean, her post got a lot of hype, but I mean, if you go back and 513 quote tweets, and a lot of people really taking her to task. But it was a really, really short-sighted view. And I think if you're Hugh Freeze, you want your guys to have this sort of confidence in themselves. You want them to believe that they are the best. That's the best way to manifest that result. But you can't go in thinking, oh, They may be better than us, but we're going to try our hardest. No.
Right.
Come
I
on,
don't know
man.
what is this fascination with people with wanting athletes to be humble? Like, no, I don't care. Listen, if they're playing for your team, you love their confidence. You can be humble and confident at the same time for sure. And to say he doesn't have talent while ignoring all of the things he actually does on the foot, that's a crazy thing to say, bro.
Yeah.
Like, just like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
what are
not
we
saying
doing?
Diego Pavia is the best quarterback in the country, but to act like this dude doesn't just freaking make plays all the time.
Yeah, he's a winner. He's a winner. I mean,
What are we talking about?
I can both not like him and admit that he's a winner.
That's
He is
just
absolutely
that's crazy.
yeah. And
That
he's
is
at
that is salt
Vanderbilt.
for no reason.
And he's at Vanderbilt. What do you want him to do? He's not playing with Ty Simpson, with blah, blah, blah. Whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I want her to just stop tweeting.
Just,
Like,
yeah,
just don't
tweet
tweet
anymore. That was a terrible take. And you know, again, I hope that no player sees that and thinks, oh man, she cooked. No. Right. Anybody who's good understands Pavia. Anybody who's won at anything or competed at a high
I
level
guarantee you
understands
players appreciate the swagger that he brings.
Oh,
They,
yeah,
I mean, you
100%.
hate it because it's like, man, I want to just hit this dude in the mouth. But if he was your quarterback, you'd love it.
Right. Right. If he played for Alabama, you would not care. Weird take from a girl who has a coach who is kind of like the polar opposite of what Saban was in terms of like being more laid back and, you know,
Right.
like, you know, acting like DeBoer would have ripped that. Like, no, DeBoer wouldn't have. DeBoer was just like, come on in, sit down on my couch. And like, that's DeBoer. Saban was like, get out of my office and go lift some weights.
But again, like acting as if Jalen Milroe didn't exist on your team and how cocky he was all the time. Like, what are we doing, bro? Like,
yeah, crazy.
just
Crazy.
stop.
Just crazy. Like I said, I hope that Auburn had that. I hope they got a Pavia type attitude when they play Pavia. I hope they have it this week versus Kentucky.
Say what you want to. I loved what DeMarcus Riddick said last year when he was getting ready to play Bama. He will not. Now he did, but like, listen. But I want my guys out there saying this ain't happening.
I want
watch,
him
bro.
to have that feeling. Yes, I
Yeah.
absolutely want him to have that feeling going into the game. Come on, man. What are we talking about here? So, yeah, Hannah got all the attention she asked for with that tweet. Let me tell you. But, boy, that thing went viral. And while there were a lot of people who liked what she had to say, I would venture most of them were either victims of Diego Pavia or they're Alabama fans.
Right.
But, man, when you go read the quotes, boy, when I tell you they were not kind here.
And
and
she
that
deserved to get ratioed on that.
Yeah,
like,
she got ratioed. Is like just go. If chat, I'm telling you, her name is. Let me give you her at. Her name is Hannah Stevens, but her at is the UA sign girl. So go read the quote tweets there if you're bored and you
who even is this woman?
You want a good time. It's very, very interesting. Let me see if I can see it in her bio. It says that she is an Alabama featured reporter for Roundtable Sports Network. I guess she was a sign girl at Alabama.
All right.
Actually says former D1 athlete. So like, I don't know. Maybe she did compete at something, but boy, she must not have been very good. If you don't get Diego Pavia, you probably weren't very good.
Yeah, I don't understand this. People constantly wanting to humble athletes because why are you being so cocky? Because I'm good. What do you mean? I'm good and I know it. What do you want from me?
What do you want?
Stop. Let's stop the nonsense, please. All right. Mike, got a couple more chats here. But again, at the end of the day, this is going to come down to, I think, whether or not two things for me. Whether or not Auburn's defense continues to be who they've been through all of these games so far, through 8 games this season. If they can continue for a 9th game to be who they've been and keep teams, Kentucky specifically for this game, out of the end zone consistently, You're going to give yourself a shot. And can Ashton Daniels, whether he plays perfectly at the beginning of the game or not, because he should be the starter, weather whatever storm of adversity hits? Because that has been Auburn's essential problem, is the inability to bounce back from adversity. When adversity hits, they haven't had the ability to say, oh man, it's gone wrong. Let me figure out specifically on offense how to get past that. Can Ashton Daniels be the difference maker in that aspect of this Auburn offense? If they can do that, they're going to win the football game.
Yeah. I'm not really that worried about Auburn losing to Kentucky. I'm more interested in how it's going to look.
Yeah.
What does the offense look like with Ashton Daniels at the helm for an entire game? How extensive is the play calling? Do they run the whole playbook? Hugh Freeze said that the offense doesn't really change with Ashton at quarterback. So we'll see if that holds true on Saturday. Again, to me, after he came in, it looked like they were a lot more apt to try to stick with the run while he was quarterback than Jackson. So we'll see if Hugh Freeze seemingly calls it differently. But look, Ashton is a good enough runner, I think, to give him the same decisions that you gave Jackson, and trust that he will make better decisions with the football.
Yeah. And again, I don't want this to turn into a crap fest, and I'm not saying you're doing that. I've been a little more critical of Jackson Arnold than most have been over the last few weeks. And it's not to say that I don't think Jackson Arnold is talented. I just think, when I go and I look at this tape and I say, man, his processing speed isn't where it needs to be on some of these decisions. And then when he does make the decision, his accuracy with the football down the field just hasn't been good. Ashton Daniels just needs to be a little bit better in both of those arenas in order for Auburn to be successful. All right, maybe he's not going to see it as well, because I don't think he saw the field particularly great versus Arkansas. But even in those moments, his clock was where it needed to be, right? He was like, oh, it's not there. Let me get out of here. And he would take off running or try to escape the pocket, as opposed to just standing there and taking a sack. I don't want to see another football game through these last four where Auburn has an opportunity to score points and it ends with the quarterback being sacked.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that no more.
Yeah. Look, get rid of the football, man. Don't hold on to it. Trust these receivers. I want to see Perry eat, man. I want to see Cam eat. I think I don't know if we got an update on Cam's status, but he
has been every time Coach Hugh Freeze has talked about it, he said he's been optimistic, but there's nothing that says for sure he's going to play. That's
availability report comes out tonight, right?
15 minutes. Perry Thompson needs to, if Cam Coleman is not 100%, you need to turn Perry Thompson into plug and play Cam Coleman. He's not the same kind of athlete as Cam Coleman. I get that. But he 100% can do some of those same things for you in one-on-one situations. Let him do it.
Yeah. They have Cam, Malcolm, Connor Gibbs, and Jordan Crawford listed as questionable. Horatio Fields is out. Obviously, Connor Lew is also out. Kentucky has significantly more people that are out for this game, and questionable and probable and doubtful. So Auburn with a total of 6 names on this list. So hopefully Cam makes some progress here between now and game day. Same for Malcolm Simmons. But he said Sunday he was not good, and he had made significant progress by Monday. So
same thing he said on Wednesday. He's like, listen, he looks good to me, and if he can give it a go, I think he will. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna grab these last few supers. I know you said you got to get out of here, Mike. So they'll see you on the Auburn Express tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, peace. Exclusive TV says, in better words, control what you can control. That's all you can do, man. Like, figure out how to be the person you need to be in the moment, because everything's not going to go your way. But what you can control is how you react to the things that happen around you, and hopefully they can do that a little bit better. Appreciate Martin for gifting the 5 War Rapport memberships. If you got a new membership, you have at least an offensive breakdown that I put out there from this week's show. From last week's game. So you guys can go check that out. I still got some defensive film I need to break down for you guys, and appreciate the new membership here from Road Dog. All right, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate y'all so much for jumping in here with us. As always, want to thank the great sponsors of tonight's show, the Opelika Rage Room. Make sure y'all go check them out. 2 different locations to service you out there, 1510 2nd Avenue in Opelika. They're actually going to be, I think, moving locations soon, so we'll update you with that information. 7th Avenue South on 2616 7th Avenue there in Birmingham. If you aren't Green Name Gang, go ahead and join. Lots of great content for you, including game day stuff. Make sure that you're tapped in with that halftime and pregame stuff specifically for you guys. Someone can gift a membership. You'll get a free month membership on them. Make sure you tap in with us on our website, thewarreport.com. Get you some merch, read you some articles, all of those things. Tap in with the guys on the network, Uptempo Podcast, the College Loop, Just a Sec, TWR Gaming, new gaming thing went out there. Dustin said he was going to start. Ashton Daniels himself went out there and played a game with Ashton Daniels versus Kentucky. He was tired of waiting on Coach Hugh Freeze to confirm it. He did it himself in the video game. You guys can go check that out over there on that channel. And we are the Auburn Express out there. But that's it, man. We're going to get out of here. Before you get out of here, make sure that you share the video with somebody. Hashtag get your weight up. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. We're at the War Rapport on X and Instagram. TW Report is the TikTok. More great content coming for you guys later on this week. Basketball tomorrow. Auburn takes on Memphis. If you don't know, that is going to be over on War Eagle Plus. So make sure you tap in over there for that live stream. But that's it. Till the next time. And as always, War Eagle, we're out. Peace.